This video is another example of how to divide polynomials with box method. So we're looking at the second example over here, and we're going to get ready to set up our problem. Before we do so, I want you to notice that the dividend goes from x cubed to just a term with an x. There's no x squared. So we're going to rewrite that problem, and because we have no x squared, I'm actually going to write plus 0x squared. And then I'm going to continue with the minus 4x plus 6. I'm doing this because I need a placeholder for that x squared. And you'll see that when we start doing the problem and we're looking at our diagonals. And all of this would still be over x plus 3. So now we can set up our problem. My divisor, the x plus 3, is going to go on the side. And then the dividend is going to go underneath. Now, in the first problem, I had already put it in there for you. We're going to write it this time. And you need to write it because you need it for the diagonals. My first term, x cubed, I'm going to put a little bit out to the front. And then my plus 0x squared is going to line up with this line. And then my minus 4x is going to line up with this line. I want to be careful where I write these numbers because when I'm working on the diagonal, I want to make sure everything lines up properly. And finally, I have plus 6. Before I go any further, I also want to make sure you realize that when you're drawing your boxes, this number right here, the highest exponent, lets you know how many vertical lines you need. So because this is a 3, we need 1, 2, 3 vertical lines. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so now we are ready to start the problem. I numbered the boxes so you know the orders you need to work in. So box number 1 is always this term, every time. So I'm going to write x cubed there. So this is always there. To find box 2, we need to think something times x is x cubed. And that is x squared. And I can continue with my multiplication. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. So now I'm on a diagonal to find box 4. So you could do the diagonals doing this box plus this box equals this, but the other way I showed you is to work the other direction, which is that 0 minus 3 would equal box 4. 0 minus 3 is negative 3, and it has to be an x squared because the diagonals are always like terms. So now I go to box 5, something times x is negative 3x squared. So I know I need another x, and then I need that negative 3. So negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Box 6, I can also multiply my row and column, and I have negative 3x times 3, and that is negative 9x. And I'm on to another diagonal. And I'm going to work my way up and do negative 4 minus negative 9x equals something. Negative 4x minus negative 9x is positive 5x. Be careful with your signs. You need to type it in exactly like this. So something times x is 5x. Well, that's 5. And then I have 5 times 3, and that is 15. So I've got one more diagonal to find my remainder, and that is 6 minus 15. 6 minus 15 is negative 9. So that's my remainder. So now I can write my quotient. Remember that the quotient is what we call the answer in division. This is where my quotient comes from. X squared minus 3x plus 5. And then I need to write my remainder. And my remainder, because it's negative, is going to be minus 9. And it's going to go over the divisor of x plus 3.